This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio, where we go live every day, Monday through Friday, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. This is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. Guys, if you're interested in joining our conversation, we would love to have you. You can give us a phone call right here in the studio at 347-857-3958. Again, that number is 347-857-3958. Now, if you tuned in yesterday, we had a guest in the studio, and you'll see that your eyes are not playing tricks on you. That same guest is still here. We have Mr. Bertrand McHenry, who is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston, and Bertrand is spending a few days with us. We're talking about business strategy. We're talking about referrals for life. We're getting you prepared and situated to enter into 2013 like a roaring lion. And if you feel anything like I do, that's exactly how I felt the first day of work coming back after such what seemed to be a long holiday period.
That's absolutely right.
Well, how was your day today, sir?
I had a great day, John. It's good to see you.
Oh, man, it's good to be seen. Yeah. I'm glad to have you back here in the office with us all and taking on the day, as it were.
Well, you know what? The day sort of took off with me, John.
Oh, I wonder how so.
For those of you who don't know, John Cruz is very sought after here in the Houston area, and especially among those of us who are in the broadcast media circles. And so I want to tell you a little story about being friends with John Cruz, because what he will do is call on you. And you better be ready. And that's what this show is about. You better be ready. And so if you're a listener to this show and you're an entrepreneur, one of the things we're going to absolutely teach you is to be ready.
Well, you know, and what you're alluding to, if I may jump in, is I called you this morning. I called Irv this morning at about 9:15, and we were doing a live show for an hour on KCOH radio, and I needed someone to come on there and talk about doing business with the government. So who better to call on
than Irv?
Absolutely. And so I called him, and he was like, well, how soon do I need to be there? I'm like, in 20 minutes. And I must say that he was Johnny on the spot. He came through just like a champ, like I knew he would, and we had a great show this morning.
Yeah, we really did. And what's cool about being here at Small Business Today Radio with John Cruz and of course my good friend here, Bertrand, and we can't leave out our producer extraordinaire, Stephen K. What's good about being on this show is we all like each other.
Yeah, that helps.
And that helps a lot.
That does help. Most definitely. Most assuredly.
That's absolutely true. Well, so what are we doing today, John?
Well, yesterday, Bertrand gave us this elaborate list of things that we should bring up. And I think we covered maybe half of one of those points.
Half of one of those points.
Right. And then we just sort of took the conversation in a totally different direction. Sure. But it was such a great show. If you did miss yesterday's show, I encourage you to go on to www.cruzandhughes. That's Cruz, Cruise, and Hughes, Hughes, cruzandhughes.com. Click on our archives and go and listen to yesterday's show. We talked about referrals for life. We talked about what Bertrand does in his business, which is called the Referral Institute of Houston. But today we're going to talk about a little something different. We're going to go to the list that Bertrand gave us. And, where I wanted to start today's topic, Bertrand, was the entrepreneurial mindset. We sort of set that up on yesterday. And when you say entrepreneurial mindset, what exactly are you referring to? What is that?
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot because that's a subject that comes up because some of it's philosophical and some of it's practical. But, when you go into a business as an entrepreneur, when you're either bootstrapping it or you've gotten a loan, you've got to run this business. For most of us, we're running it alone for a while. And so the entrepreneurial mindset to me is, I hearken back to Norman Vincent Peale. It's not about being Pollyanna-ish and rose-colored glasses. It's about being a tough minded optimist.
Right.
Looking the brutal facts in the face and saying, this is what is. This is what I'm up against. This is what I'm dealing with. However, I've got the skill set. I've got the people around me. I know I can overcome this. And just be prepared to, I don't want to, struggle's the wrong word. Be prepared to be challenged in a real way financially, manpower-wise for at least 24 months.
Okay.
In the beginning, don't you think?
I would say at least.
At least. So the entrepreneurial mindset is, don't step into that arena unless you know what you're made of.
Yeah.
Don't just step in that arena piddling, thinking I'm just going to start this little business off of my computer and make a go of it. You got to be all in 100%, because being an entrepreneur is less about lots and lots of money and more about lifestyle. It's about expressing your uniqueness in the marketplace with your idea.
You know what? I'm going to say that you phrased that quite nicely. And when I think about some of the things that you said, what really resonates with me is being all in.
All in.
If you start a business with a part-time mindset, you're going to get a part-time result.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's just the bottom line. Nobody that I know personally, and even a blind squirrel finds a nut from time to time. So please don't send me all of the people that you know who hit the lottery in their business by doing it for 30 minutes a day.
Right.
But the thing is that for the most part, I have not been successful at anything that I did not burn the ships that brought me over and just 100% totally commit to my idea, to my concept, and as you put it, challenged. I mean, that is really a nice way of putting it, because I was challenged on all levels, challenged in ways that I never thought I would be challenged in, and it really showed me who I was as a person.
Sure.
And sometimes we don't like what we see when that happens.
And that's an opportunity to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's cost. What I've been listening to you guys talking about is cost. And I'm not talking about money, folks. I'm talking about what is it going to cost you? I'm talking about the commitment. I'm talking about the time, the energy, the effort, the creativity, the ridicule, the embarrassment that some of you are going to take. All these,
mostly from family.
Mostly from friends and family, well-meaning, but perhaps ignorant to what is going on inside you as an entrepreneur. And let me just tell you, folks, relax with all this language about success and all this, because success only costs all you have.
That's right. That's right.
And so guess what? You got to get comfortable with paying everything. Mm-hmm. And then you got to get comfortable with the cost of what it's going to take for you to pay all that you have and then that you don't.
Yeah.
Right. So success only costs all you have.
And that's one of the things that you say all the time on this. Whatever that level of success is that you're striving for,
right?
Whatever you have, it's going to be that, and probably then some.
That's exactly right.
And at least my experience has been that. But now I got to ask you this, Bertrand. Now, for someone who is going through the struggle, some of our listeners are in established businesses and they know exactly what we're talking about. They've waded through those troubled waters. But for that person who is going through the struggle or is about to embark, where do they find that resolution? What can they cling to when you get to that point? And every entrepreneur gets here.
Right.
When you feel that you are totally alone in this universe, where do you find solitude? Where do you find? How do you find that spirit to get you going again? What's my motivation?
Well, those are two totally different questions.
Okay.
What's my motivation, and how do you find that spirit? Because I think you have to have built up a reservoir before you get there.
Okay.
Or you find it very quickly when you're in it. You find out what you're made of, and
That's
you
fall
fall back on those skill sets.
Absolutely.
For me, it was I spent years reading. I spent years going through sacrifices in other areas of my life, and I take lessons to heart. I mean, I'm a teacher, I'm a mentor and a coach, so I take lessons to heart. But I always heard early on that leaders are readers.
No doubt.
And so it was who you're going to be in 5 years is going to be predicated on who you hang out with, and what you put in your brain and the books you read and
That's
what
right.
you listen to on a regular basis. So who do you choose to hang out with? And we talked about that yesterday, auditioning your network. We won't get into that, but it's going to be about who you surround yourself with, because if you surround yourself with people who are less than
Right.
where you're going to be,
Right.
the people who got you where you are right now probably aren't going to be the people that take you to the next level, unless you've been to the next level and you've selectively sought those people out
Sure.
to go through the rest of your life. But for most of us, if we lived part of our life kind of unconscious, and we've talked about this before,
No doubt.
in our 20s, we were kind of unconscious. When you wake up finally and you start to develop intentionally your life, then you start selecting people who you want to hang out with. Those people can hold you up in the trials of life.
Sure.
But also what you're reading.
Mm-hmm.
What are you deciding to read on a regular basis? What are you deciding to listen to on a regular basis? That makes a huge difference.
And you're really, when you're reading, you're associating with those authors. You're associating with those people.
You are. Here's the other thing I'd say. The one gift that I gave myself years ago that trumps everything else. You can be born with all kinds of talent. If you haven't decided at some point that I'm never ever going to quit,
right,
none of that talent matters.
That's exactly right.
None
because
of that
you are
matters.
going to be challenged with that very thing.
And that's just a decision. I'm just not going to quit. Once I cross the starting line, I don't quit.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And you know, that's probably the one quality that I possessed as an entrepreneur when I first started. I didn't know anything about anything else. I didn't have computer skills. I didn't have the best sales skills. I didn't have the list is long in terms of what I lacked. But the only thing that I did have in the positive or the plus column was that I would not quit.
We were stubborn.
I was stupid enough to keep going. Even when I didn't have the money, I didn't have the contacts, I didn't have the people, I didn't have the business, I didn't have the know-how in some areas. I was just stupid enough to keep on going. And that's what carried me in a lot of those situations.
And there's beauty in that. Because you may lose some skills. You may lose your karma in sales from time to time. You may lose your mojo here and there, but you never lose the ability to not quit.
That's true.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
When we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about those entrepreneurs who are spending their time with just their employees who don't get out and network. I want to get your thoughts on that. So stick around, guys. Our guest today is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. If you'd like to connect with Bertrand, you can do so on all of the social media platforms. He's on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. He'll give those call signs when we come back from the break. His business website is www.Referral Institute of Houston. More in a moment with Bertrand McHenry. There I go again. And we want to thank you guys for tuning in to Small Business Today. Stick around. We'll be right back after these messages.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. Bertrand is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston.com. And I'm sort of giving your business name and the website out at the same time, if you don't mind. But we were talking about in the first segment was the entrepreneurial mindset, having that mindset to win. And we sort of segued into, you mentioned something about the way entrepreneurs are spending their time. And there's something that I believe. And what I believe is that wealthy people invest their time. They don't spend it. And if you're not doing as well in your business and you're not getting the results that you're looking for, when I take someone under my wing and I take a look at where they're spending their time, I find that they're doing absolutely that. They're spending every hour, every minute of it, and they're not investing it anywhere. So even if you're not getting out and networking, if you're not spending time joining the right clubs, becoming ingratiated with people who can advance and help your business, you're just wasting your time.
You are.
And I want to sort of get your thoughts on that person who has not networked as much as they've always said that they would. What place or what role do you think networking plays in building your business?
Huge. I don't know that you can do it unless you're out there, unless you come to the game with a network already. But I'll say this also. If I were to start a new business today, a new name, a new entity, I would be back to visibility with everyone that I had built relationships with up to profitability, because it's a new entity. They don't know me in this entity. So I almost have to start all over again and build a new network. For the most part, your core will stay the same, but the way people know you as Referral Institute, Small Business Today magazine, you got to rebuild that. So you always have to keep that in mind. But I think networking is probably the single most important thing they need to be doing in the beginning, because it also includes branding. Because you're out there in the marketplace getting people to see your face and your name, and eventually you show up to an event and people say, "What's your name?" I say, "I'm Bertrand McHenry." "Oh, I've heard about you."
Yeah.
And you need that. You need that opportunity.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's huge.
And so, Bertrand, one question is, in doing this kind of networking, I guess the question is, who is talking about you when you're not there, and what are they saying?
That is an excellent point. That's part of the training in Referral Institute, is finding those people and getting them trained and coming to some agreements. So I want some people in the marketplace who agree to get in 5 conversations a week in the marketplace about me and what I do. That means that I'm not the only one out there doing it.
Right.
But I am doing it on your behalf, and I'm doing it on your behalf, and I've got 5 or 6 other people who are committed. You know what that means, right?
That's right.
The egg, the chicken participates.
In the breakfast, but it's the pig.
The pig is committed.
The pig is all in.
All in. The pig is the entrepreneur.
That's right. The chicken sees many breakfasts, but the pig sees only one.
That's right.
Now, as you're talking about commitment and in the statement that you just made, you know what? I think about branding.
Right.
And most people, in my opinion, are not thinking about what are you known for.
Right.
And when I say what, I don't mean just the what that you do. I mean, when I think about your business, when I think about the Referral Institute of Houston, and I talk to you about it, your passion comes through 100% for what you do. And I have to admit, it drags me in. I become invested in who you are, because we're talking. Now, I don't want to go off into the deep end in terms of having your why together. We'll save that for some other time.
Sure.
But your brand, when I think of the Referral Institute of Houston, I think about you. I think about the passion that comes through. I think about the brand that you emit in terms of the way you dress, your business card, all of that comes together. And I think so often Small business people do not give more thought or don't give enough thought to that and how that impacts their business long term. And I think that that's the part that goes into play when you say, well, what are people saying in your absence?
Right.
How do they think about it? And do you even come up in conversation?
That's right.
In your absence.
That's exactly
And do
right.
they want to? I mean, if they look at your print collateral, do they want to represent you? You know, do I want to have that in my column?
Yeah.
If your stuff's not good enough, because there's a lot of people out there, and I meet them every single week who have literally gone on to Vistaprint and pulled off a clip art something and made a card.
You are fixing to hit John Cruz's hot
and I'm telling you, everything you do, and we can all make mistakes during the week, but everything you're doing is branding.
That's right.
And so your card precedes you, especially the way some people network. Some people network by leading with their card. And if you're going to do that, you better make sure your card looks good.
Very nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the business card is the front line of any marketing, in my opinion.
No doubt.
And if you don't have money to spend anywhere else in your marketing and your advertising, you invest everything that you have into the nicest business card that you can put together. You put it on the thickest paper. You use the most professional font. Your business card, when you've left the room, someone should want to fondle it.
Yeah,
that's
good.
And Vistaprint, I'm sorry,
and know where it is.
And we're probably going to run away any advertising dollars from them. But Vistaprint just doesn't cut it. Do not hand out a $10 business card, because to me it looks like a $10.
It does. It looks perforated. It looks flimsy. It doesn't.
And there should not be another advertisement other than your business on your business card. Right. I should not flip your card over, and it shouldn't say get 10,000 of these for 30 cents or something like that. Vistaprint. I'm just.
I knew it.
Not picking on that business model, but as an entrepreneur, I'm just telling you that you're. And I'm not saying don't go do that. You're just branding everything you do. You're branding. So think about that, because you can go to 99designs.com and do a campaign and have someone for a couple $100 come up with an awesome looking logo.
Absolutely.
Around who you are and what you're doing.
And if you don't know how to pick it, man, get a group of people together.
Sure.
Find a group of people that are successful in business, that are doing it right. You know, and some people say, well, you know, John, it's just a business card. But I guarantee you name the top 5 companies, you name McDonald's, you name Exxon, lots of thought and millions of dollars go into their marketing, how they design every piece of material that comes out of that organization with their name on it. You should take a few more minutes and just think about what is your brand.
Yeah, you know what? I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it, because when we start talking about branding, and especially when we're talking about business cards, folks, let me just tell you, if you didn't spend at least $100, I really think you're missing the boat. Now, I know a lot of you are going to start writing and say, don't send me all your email. I really don't care. Here's the point. You can be small, but looking small and literally memorializing your smallness in print is not acceptable.
Completely unacceptable.
You can't build a house without tools. You can't fix a car without tools, and you are certainly not going to build a business without tools. You need to invest in the tools, and it is an investment because it has a direct impact on the return you're going to get. Spend some money on your business cards and on your print collateral. Get help. I'm telling you, I've been guilty of it. I've suffered the pain of it, and that's why I'm passionate about it, because I know exactly what these guys are talking about. I've suffered for it in my business in the past, and I had to get over that. And guess what? You do too.
We live in a world of images. We're very surfacey. It's what we see. What we see is our perception.
Sure.
And you know, when you see someone drive up in a Mercedes, when you see someone in a Brooks Brothers suit, when you see someone impeccably dressed, we automatically assume, and every person that's listening to my voice right now, the exact same thing. We assume that person is doing well.
Sure.
That person could have just gone through a divorce. They could have just left their bankruptcy attorney. They could be losing everything. But how you look and how you're perceived is huge in this country.
It really is.
So if we all know that, if we live in a world of appearances, then you have to make certain that your appearance is at the top of the chart every single time you go out and do business.
No doubt.
That's just my philosophy. Now, I want to talk about beginning with the end in mind. That's one of the philosophies that Bertrand has put on the list. So tell me, when you say that, what exactly do you mean?
That comes from Stephen Covey in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Begin with the end in mind is at the very beginning, because you have to visualize it. You have to know where you're going before you start. So what's the end game here?
Mm-hmm.
What's the end game? And then let's back that up and talk about activities in year one, in day one, that's going to eventually get us to the end game. What does that look like? So beginning with the end in mind, every company has 2 creations. It was created in my head, and then it created itself in the world.
Absolutely.
So you got to create it in your head first. So you got to begin with the end first, and then back that up.
Wow. And you know what? I'm sitting here thinking about relationships.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about just man-woman courting type relationships.
No, I know.
I'm talking about the way you start with your clients.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
The way you start with, when you return phone calls on the first ring, or excuse me, pick up the phone on the first ring, and you return every phone call. You have to keep that up. That's a level of consistency that once you start it, your business is going to depend on it more and more.
And that's branding. It's also culture, which we've got on the list to talk about.
That.
Yeah. You got to talk about how you perform.
Yes, absolutely.
Have a culture of performance.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, that's good stuff. When we come back, Bertrand, I'm going to pin you on that, talking about developing a culture of performance, because I think when you're in a small business and you're in a leadership position, it's really up to you on how you're going to have that culture cultivated. And so when we come back, let's talk about that. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by the Lexington Law Firm. Listen, when you need credit help, you can get a free consultation by calling them at 888-744-7081. Stay with us. The education continues right after this.
You're listening to Small Business Today with...
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
Disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So the next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Mr. Bertrand McHenry. Bertrand is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston. I made the comment a minute ago, Bertrand, that you are available on all social media platforms.
Correct.
If someone wants to send you a tweet, how would they do that?
At Bertrand McHenry.
At Bertrand McHenry, and McHenry is spelled M-C-H-E-N-R-Y. MC Henry. MC Henry. And on Facebook, you are at...
Facebook.com/Bertrand McHenry.
/Bertrand McHenry. All right, now, there's so many directions that we can go in right now.
Sure.
We're talking about beginning with the end in mind, and is where we were sort of wrapping up. Now, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, when we went to break, we were talking about developing a culture, a performance culture, where it's a culture in the company where people are not only expected to perform by management or its leadership, but where the folks in the company who are stakeholders want to perform well. And I want to get your take on whether or not that is a good strategy in a small business. I know, culture kind of gets developed over time in a large business, but in a small business, how does a small business owner make that same kind of thing happen? Maybe they've got 5 or 10 employees.
Yeah.
Now what happens?
That's a great question, and I actually think let's go smaller. Let's go a solo entrepreneur. How do you? Because again, begin with the end in mind. What's my end? What's my culture? What I ideally want my culture to be like, and then let me start living that culture out myself. Because really, my culture is going to be who I am.
Sure.
And then I'm going to hire, based on some other testing that I do, I'm going to hire out of my values. I want my company to reflect me. Remember, we were saying it's a creative expression of yourself in the marketplace, and so. Yes, you can do it with 5 people. You can do it with 10 people. What you do is you set systems in place, and you make sure that you're going to measure, so that what gets measured gets done.
Sure.
And so you hire slowly. You influence intensely. And influence is training. It's indoctrination. It's all company training, company orientation. You tell stories. It's kind of a hit. Hire. Influence and inspire, and tell stories and train, and make sure that they're going to hit the target, and then you're going to measure it on a regular basis. Measuring just invites the performers to overachieve.
Sure.
And you want them to overachieve, and so when they overachieve, you celebrate that in a huge way, and then you abort quickly with the employees who don't want to perform that way. You don't make a fuss. They're just not there anymore after 2 or 3 warnings. Once it's documented, they're just not there.
Sure.
So it doesn't become a big emotional thing. It's just the ones that are left are the performers.
Okay, now I gotta jump in on this one.
Absolutely.
I gotta swing the bat in the other direction.
Absolutely.
There are some people who are of the mindset, and just about every small business is carrying some. And I don't want to use the term dead weight because we will get some mail here that my nephew is not dead weight. I don't care what the rest of my employees think.
That's right.
But we're carrying individuals who are not towing their own weight. They're just not performing up to snuff. Every organization, I think, has a few people like that.
Right.
Now, what you're saying, your philosophy is get rid of that person or those persons quickly. What are your thoughts then when someone says that you can redevelop and work that person into something else and get them inspired and you develop a program that helps that person get on track with where everyone else in the organization already is.
Yeah, if you want to spend a lot more money.
Yeah,
because you're going to
and you're paying them this whole time.
Yeah,
as well,
that's right. So you wind up with the Dallas Cowboys.
I think
Tony Romo, watch out.
You wind up with the Cowboys, a really
Jason
big,
Garrett.
big, giant, underperforming payroll.
Wow.
That's what you got. No, I'm sorry.
I love that. To all those Cowboy fans, send him the hate mail.
That's right. I think you can make an argument because I'm a human performance person. I'm an inspirational person. I like all that kind of stuff. However, I've learned over the years you cannot change someone else. I can't have the responsibility of changing you.
Sure.
I can create a culture that invites people that I want in here. I told the story about how Southwest Airlines used to hire their people. They'd have these big giant cattle calls in hotels, and they'd move 50 people into a room at a time, and there'd be 500 people, 50 in a room at a time, and they'd tell them, we're coming back in 15 minutes. Each one of you is going to stand up for 2 minutes and give a speech about who you are, and we're going to be watching. And so people would stand up to the mic, and they'd think, I need to give the best speech ever. I need to present myself the best. And they weren't watching that. You know what they were watching?
What's that?
They were watching the audience, and they were looking for the people who were giving the thumbs up sign to the people who were speaking, who were encouraging, who were supporting, who were not thinking of themselves only, who were thinking of others.
Wow.
And they brought them back for the second interview.
How helpful is that?
That's awesome.
Man, I mean, and you know what? You wouldn't think it because just like you said, I would think that, hey, I want to find the people that give the best presentation, the ones that are, very sharp and speaking in the way that we would want someone to speak. But no, they're not looking at that.
They're not looking at that. They're hiring for their activity that they want. They began with the end in mind. This is what we want, a fun culture. If people are having fun and my employees are my client, then my employees will take care of the company's client.
And let's be honest, Southwest was a party in the sky, man.
It has always been.
Even though they had raggedy airplanes.
That's right, man.
I mean, you still had a good time.
Flight attendants were fun. They joked around. They made up songs.
Yeah, because you didn't want to hear the plane rattling. So, I mean, they'd make up songs and everybody would chime in and you couldn't hear that thing going. And so it was awesome,
Exactly.
But I think those are some of the things that as small businesses we can inculcate in our own organizations to develop the type of culture that we're looking for.
Right.
And here's the thing. These companies have millions of dollars and sometimes tens of thousands of people bringing ideas to the table. Most operations probably have 6.
That's right. Right.
So you have to look abroad. You have to look around and see what's working for some of the other people. If you become a true student of success, and by that I mean you pay attention to what winners do.
Right.
And you take the best of those topics, the best of their actions, and why not put it into your small business?
Right.
I mean, would you agree that absolutely could help?
Of course.
And you'll see the pattern.
I remember in high school, we had in Dickinson High School, up to 1976, we had losing seasons. And we got a coach in from Refugio, Texas, and he started a little bit different program, and he started giving guys GATA shirts. We were the Dickinson Gators, but GATA was kind of sounded like a gator, but it also stood for get after their, you know what?
Yeah.
And so when they would practice and they would wrestle and they would do things, whoever was dominant got one of those shirts to wear for the rest of the week, and the culture switched immediately.
And no doubt. I love the story. I cannot think of the team, but they were talking about the New Orleans Saints, the pay for play that they got in trouble for.
Sure. Right.
And they talked to these teams that played in the 80s, and they talked about how they would have these guys who were getting paid for stripping a ball. And he said, and it's small money, it's $500-600, and these are guys that make millions. But when the coach would hand out that cash in the locker room.
That's right.
It's the recognition.
And it's not for hurting anyone. It's for performance.
Right.
But if you caused a fumble, if you did something, he said, man, and he said they had one game where nobody was tackling because everybody is trying to strip the ball. and so you got a whole team of millionaires playing for $600 is what happened. But I can understand how that will help redefine and redevelop, the mindset of an organization.
Grown people will do a lot like that for a T-shirt.
Sure.
We run marathons for T-shirts.
That's
right.
Right.
Out loud.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And nothing more exciting than an I Survived T-shirt.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And whatever it is, it doesn't really matter what it is.
Right.
It's just I survived, and you can fill in the blank. Whatever. I survived.
Marriage.
It doesn't matter what.
Child
culture, in my opinion, eats strategy for breakfast every day of the week. Because you can have strategies set out. If you don't have the culture that invites employees to overachieve, then the strategy won't be executed anyway. You're going to be fighting over and over and over.
Wow. Now, before we go into break, something that you said in the first segment. Now, guys, understand something. We're going into a new year. What got you here won't get you there. And what you think you know probably isn't enough to get you to where you want to be.
No doubt.
So you're probably going to have to look at your strategy, look at your organization, rethink some things, redo some things, and it's okay. I mean, every entrepreneur, every person should be taking full inventory of where they are at this moment. And for those of you who are listening that have it all figured out, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the ones who are basically at their wits' end. Look, I've tried everything. Well, you haven't tried everything. You've only tried everything that you know to do. One of the things that you mentioned was reading. Now, give me a book. Give me a couple of books that have inspired you the most.
Oh my gosh,
reading is such a nasty four-letter word.
Man, I didn't start doing it till I got out of school.
Until you got out of school.
Because it didn't become fun until I don't want to read Macbeth. But you throw Think and Grow Rich in my hands, and I can't put it down.
I was going to say, you said give me a couple. I can think of 100, but I can remember the ones in the beginning that got me turned on were The Magic of Thinking Big by Schwartz.
I loved it. Is it David Schwartz?
Yes. I mean, there were simple things in there like hey, walk 20% faster than you were walking 5 minutes ago and see what happens to your brain.
That's right.
You change the way you think when you change your body.
Change
momentum.
Yes. You become more confident.
When we come back, I want to jump back on books a little bit.
And let's talk about breaking inertia.
Okay.
Because that's a biggie. Yes. And if there's any enemy to entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs, it's inertia. And yes, you have it. And we're going to talk about that when we come back. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by DirecTV with over 285 channels and NFL Sunday ticket packages start at just $29.99 a month. You can sign up today by calling 888-344-9296. Folks, the education continues. You want to stay with us for this because we're going to come back and talk to you about inertia and why that's your enemy. More in a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me? Heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? And my answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today is Bertrand McHenry. He is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston. We are bringing you into 2013 with a bang. What we started talking about before we went into the break was inertia and breaking inertia. And I don't understand what that quite means, but I'm certain that you're going to explain.
Oh, absolutely. You know, when you come into a new year, one of the things that you do is obviously, and we've talked about that while Bertrand was here, is talking about going back and kind of reflecting on, what 2012 was for you and what you learned and applying lessons learned, that kind of thing. Reflecting on what worked and perhaps what didn't. But when you come into a new year and you have a new outlook and you have new goals and objectives, opportunities for you to grow, and you don't move because maybe you're comfortable. Maybe you're one of that fortunate few who actually hit your goals in 2012 and you think you're okay. Or you're so far from your goals that you've decided that you're going to not even try. Either way, that's inertia. Your desire to stay right where you are because it's normal for you. And I'm talking about breaking that and getting in the habit of monitoring yourself so that you can immediately shake yourself out of that inertia. And some of the things that I'm thinking about while we were talking and understanding, Bertrand, you trigger a lot of thought when you're talking about what you do. And I started to think about this because I know with myself, I work hard to make sure that I don't slip into this what I call a state of inertia where I'm just, and I'm not talking about you not going to work every day. I'm not talking about you sleeping on the couch. Right. I'm talking about you may be working and you're just kind of going around in circles like the donkey and the millstone.
Or you're like orbit. You're like the moon around the sun.
Yeah, you're in a holding pattern for some reason. Now there's nothing holding you.
Yeah, other than you.
Other than you.
Yeah.
But you're in some sort of holding pattern, and everybody has that to deal with, but some people deal with it better than others, and some aren't even aware that that's acting on them.
Right. Yeah, because they think because they're at work, they can't be under the spell of inertia.
Right.
It's very insidious. So if you remember, the physics law was objects that at rest tend to stay at rest.
That's right.
Objects in motion tend to stay in motion.
That's right.
So you got to just you were talking about breaking the habit systematically.
That's right. And constantly finding ways to break that. But you got to know that that's happening to you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the part that, I was thinking about while we were talking here is talking about performance, and as we kind of discussed culture and that sort of thing, is how dangerous inertia is to entrepreneurs.
Well, and as you talk about that, I think about how many people, when you ask them, well, what's going on or what have you been up to? And they say working hard.
Yeah.
And it just, sometimes we're under the mindset that working hard leads to success or results.
Right.
And it doesn't.
It does not.
And you want to see people who work hard, go to South America.
Yeah.
Spend some time in Africa.
Yeah.
Right.
Look at the guys who dig those mines out. That's
by hand,
hard work,
blinding work.
But look at what they're compensated. Working hard, nobody deserves a cookie simply because you tell me you work hard.
Right.
And to me, that's part of that inertia, because you can sort of get sucked into, I'm just working hard, I'm plugging away, but you're chopping at something, you're chopping at the air, and you're never going to bring it down.
Right.
So what are some of those things that you do? How do you break yourself out of that? What I know, like you told us, like in Schwartz's book, he says, walk a little faster every day, 20% faster, and see what that does. What are some of those things that you do, Irv?
Sure.
That when you see that, hey, you know what, I'm sort of getting stuck in orbit here. I need to do something.
One of the first things I try to do is meet new people. I go out and find somebody that, literally I become very assertive. I start to assert myself in areas where I'm in unfamiliar territory.
Wow.
And let me tell you what, that is something that a lot of people will not do because they don't know anything about this particular area. I'll give you an example. I have a very good friend of mine who is a PhD in laser photonics.
I don't even know what that is.
All right, neither do I. But here's the point. I had never asked him before what exactly was laser photonics. And literally, he lives in Dallas, Texas. Great friend of mine, known him many years, but I never got into what exactly. I just felt like it was over my head. All right. Now, as I got into one of these periods, and I'm going back to 2008 because I was trying to come back from 2008. I want to get into
our rebirth.
Yeah, exactly right, exactly right. And but I felt terrible because of what had happened in my company, and so I found myself sad. And when I got over being sad, I was sitting still.
Yeah.
I still wasn't moving.
Yeah.
I was okay. I wasn't sad anymore, but I wasn't moving either. And I remember calling him and started, tell me some more about what you do and what is laser photonics? And now I knew absolutely nothing about that. All right. But my point is I wanted to engage myself in learning, challenge myself to learn something new.
Interesting.
And something that I thought was going to be over my head. And it still is over my head, by the way. But
it's everything you thought it was.
Yeah, it's everything I thought it was. But I now know that it really is over my head.
Yeah, right.
And it kept me moving, though.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things that I do is I go dig into something that I don't know anything about.
Yeah.
And a lot of people won't do that because they just say, well, I don't know anything about that. Well, that's not an excuse.
Right.
Oh,
man, I'm telling you.
That's not an excuse.
That's part of the challenge.
That's part of the challenge. How do you know that?
Yeah. I mean, and I could go into comfort zone and all of those things. But you got another topic that I definitely want to touch.
Okay.
And one of the things that you say is brainstorm less, take action often, or more, I guess. So tell me about that. What's the philosophy behind it?
It's what we were just talking about. As entrepreneurs, you can get in lots of conversations with fellow entrepreneurs or employees or clients and just brainstorm about what could be, what I could do with my marketing, what I will do next month, and take less action. And here's what we do. We tend to wait on perfection. I want to do a YouTube, but I don't have the set. I don't have everything just right.
Yeah.
Just do it. Doing it.
Look at this set. I mean, we're doing it from our conference room here at the Teamwork Radio office.
That's right.
And I mean, there's a lot we don't have.
Yeah. I mean, Seth Godin talks about always just be creating and shipping product into the marketplace, no matter what it is. This radio show is a product. Create it, ship it. Now go create something else and ship it. It doesn't matter that it's not perfect yet. You will mature into perfection if it's meant to be. If you're meant to keep that, it'll get better and better.
In my company, Bertrand, we call that fight in the air.
Fight in the air.
Yeah, we say fight in the air. It says, well, okay, we got two opportunities here to deal with this battle. One, we're going to sit on the runway and be a target. Two, we're going to take off and fight in the air. That means in our company culture, it means that we don't have everything that we would like to have.
Right.
But you know what? We're going to take off anyway, and we're going to take our chances in the air. What we won't do is sit here.
And so I think just creating the culture of pulling the trigger often when you get the idea, when the seed of the idea shows up, before you plan too much, just do it.
Start.
Just do it. Start. Finishing last beats never started any day of the week.
Ooh, that's good.
And speaking of last, Stephen K was telling us about a story where he finished dead last in a race, and but he finished. And that really is what's important. I mean, think of what that does for you in terms of achievement and what you're able to accomplish in future races or in future endeavors. Man, finish.
You build something to talk about how do you develop entrepreneurial mindset when the challenges come. You do enough things that are hard and you don't quit.
Yeah.
It gives you that reservoir to start to deal with that stuff.
That is absolutely awesome. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Sales Nexus. Let me tell you what, if you need a customer relationship management system and you need some new leads to populate your new customer relationship management system, go to salesnexus.com, download your free trial copy. We use it here at Small Business Today Radio. It is a great customer relationship management system. You absolutely want to take advantage of that. More in a moment when we come back with Bertrand McHenry.
Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at...
Excuse me, heavy news?
You know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
With my Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus headset, I'm free. Free to talk to you while carrying a laptop bag, holding a cup of coffee, and fishing for my car keys. Now, you may ask me, Jim, is it really necessary to use the phone while doing all these things? My answer is it really necessary not to? Plantronics Voyager Pro Plus. It's my so comfortable, why wouldn't I use it all day headset.
Get your Voyager Pro Plus at Plantronics.com.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Our guest today has been Mr. Bertrand McHenry, who is the president of the Referral Institute of Houston. You can also connect with Bertrand on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on his business website, which is the referralinstituteofhouston.com. Now, guys, if I had to give a couple of words that would identify what we've talked about over the last hour, two things just jump off the page to me. One would be accountability, and the other would be action.
Absolutely.
And so if you could add a couple of more A's to your business model, you might have a different outcome for 2013, especially as it relates to accountability and action. Man, I can't speak.
No, accountability works.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
And you said inculcate earlier, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah,
I dug deep for that.
Thank God for dictionary.com.
Hey, I'm telling you, man. And you know, when you got somebody talking about phototronics, what was it?
Is that what he said? Both of y'all trumped me today.
Laser photonics.
Laser photonics. I had to come with something. You know? It was the first thing that was behind me. You know?
Reach back and grab it.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Well, you know, I think we've had a great show today. Tomorrow we're going to bring Bertrand back. We're going to finish the trilogy, and we're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to pick up with some other things as it relates to developing culture. We're going to talk about some strategy, and we're going to talk about admin and sales. And sales, you know, we know that most small business people need more of.
Right.
And so maybe you'll give us some tips on some things that have worked for you in the past that continue to work for the students who come in and take your classes.
Excellent.
Irvin?
Well, that's going to be good, man, because one of the things that I'm always excited about is when we get to have Bertrand talk about sales.
Yeah. I mean,
because
something should get sold.
No, absolutely. Look, we always talk about ABS. Bertrand is analog braking system, but if it's me talking, it's always be selling.
Always be selling. I love it.
All right, I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspire entrepreneurs from thought to action. Until tomorrow's show, be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
And Irv and I will see you tomorrow.
Take care.